Okay, welcome back to today's class. Yesterday we have given uh, a description about this particular lesson. We said that we are not afraid if we can all be together. It's a particular sentence which is spoken by one of the characters in this particular story, or rather the real incident. And now coming to the lesson straight away. In July 1976, my wife Mary, son Jonathan, 6, and daughter Susanna, 7, and I set sail from Plymouth, England to duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. So, what is the story is about? The story is about a particular family, the narrator and his wife. Her name is Mary, and his son Jonathan, only 6-year-old boy, and his daughter Susanna, 7-year-old girl. And I of course, the narrator. They started their journey in 1976 from where they started, Plymouth, England. They started the journey from England. What for? What is the purpose? To duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. He wanted to duplicate. What do you mean by duplicate? Repeat. They wanted to repeat the round the world voyage. What is round the world voyage? They want to go around the world. Logan chuttikarangana voyage. Voyage is journey through the sea, we know. And this particular journey was already completed 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. We have already seen who is this Captain James Cook. So this particular family is actually going to repeat the journey that was successfully completed 200 years ago by Captain James Cook. Who are the members in this particular team in the beginning? The narrator is there, his wife is there, and his son is there, and again his daughter. When did they start their journey? In July 1976. For the longest time, Mary and I, a 37-year-old businessman, had dreamt of sailing in the wake of the famous explorer, and for the past 16 years, we had spent all our leisure time honing our seafaring skills in British waters. So you must understand that the narrator is a young man of 37-year-old. He is a businessman. And he had dreamt sailing in the wake of the famous explorer. Who is this famous explorer? Captain James Cook. They were dreaming about completing this particular journey, and they prepared for that particular journey. They trained for this particular journey for 16 years. 16 വർഷത്തെ കഠിന പരിശ്രമം, or the training, the practice, they made themselves equipped for facing the British waters. So had dreamt of sailing in the wake of the famous explorer, and for the past 16 years we had spent all our leisure time. What do you mean by leisure time? Leisure time is free time. What kind of free time? Free from or away from all our what he called official hours. He is a businessman. When he is not doing his business, when he is free from his business affairs, all other time is considered as leisure. നമ്മളുടെ അക്കാഡമിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള അവേഴ്സ്, നമ്മുടെ ബിസിനസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള അവേഴ്സ്, നമ്മുടെ ഒഫീഷ്യൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള അവേഴ്സ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ട് കിട്ടുന്ന സമയത്തെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ലിഷർ ടൈം എന്ന് പറയുക. And all of their leisure time for the last 16 years they had spent in order to hone. What in be hone? Shape ആണ്, equip ആണ്, honing, shaping their seafaring. Seafaring means sea facing skills, the skills required for facing the sea, for sailing in the sea. Where did they practice? They practiced in the British waters. Since he is a British man, he was practicing in the British waters. So in the first paragraph, we have information about a family. The family is comprised of 4 people: narrator, his wife, son, and daughter. Their age is very clear. They started their journey from England. The place name is Plymouth. What kind of journey? They want to repeat the journey around the world which was first done by Captain James Cook. And our narrator is only 37 years old, and he's a businessman, and around 16 years, all their leisure time they spend for equipping themselves in order to face the sea. And now, how did they start their journey? And what was the medium of their journey? And what was the name of the boat or the ship which they have used? Our boat, Wave Walker, the name of their boat was Wave Walker, one who walks on the wave, wave in the mele kuda nadakkunnavan. A 23-meter, 30-ton wooden hulled beauty. The length of the ship was, so the boat was 23 meters, and the weight was 30 ton. It is mentioned that it's made of wood, and it is a beautiful ship or a boat. Had been professionally built, and we had spent months fitting it out and testing it in the roughest weather we could find. So after having just made this wooden boat, it has been built by a professional. What do you mean professional? Professionally built, expert on, a person who is designing and making a ship. A skilled person has built this ship, amateur and professional. When we come to the field of games, you may be very familiar with these two words. Amateur means amateur athletic meet. Amateur player means a person who plays or participates in games and sports because of the love of that particular game. Amateur. Professional alla. Professional means for money. Cricketers, especially those who are just taking money for playing, they are professionals. The people who have made a particular work or activity as their job or profession, who takes money, are known as professional. So here it is professionally built, means it is built by people who have made their job building wood, building ship, are known as professional. So it is skillfully made, and we had to spend months fitting it out and testing it in the roughest weathers we could find. So after having made this boat, the Wave Walker, they tested this boat in the roughest weather that was available in England. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഏറ്റവും റഫായിട്ടുള്ള വെതറിൽ ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തു, and it is proved that okay, they can just continue the journey in the Indian Ocean. The first leg of our planned 3 years. The first leg means first phase of the journey. 3 phase ആയിട്ടാണ് ഈ journey complete ചെയ്യാൻ അവർ plan ചെയ്യുന്നത്. We already mentioned in the last class. So it is said that the first phase of the journey will be completed within a period of 3 years. So 1,05,000 kilometer journey passed pleasantly as we sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. So the first phase of the journey, they started from Portsmouth. They came to the Cape Town in Africa, and they covered a distance of 1,05,000 kilometer. And covering this 1,05,000 kilometer, this distance of 1,05,000 kilometer was actually all right. It went pleasantly without much difficulty. There, before heading east, after reaching to Cape Town in Africa, they are supposed to go to eastern side, their second phase of the journey. And they knew that the second phase of the journey is not that easy, and because of that, they hired 2 people we mentioned in the last class. We took on 2 crewmen. Crewmen means sailors and experts on. And among them, there were 2 people whom they hired. One was an American. His name was Larry Vigil. Remember this name. The American crewman was Larry Vigil. And there was a Swiss crewman from Switzerland. His name is Herb Segler. To help us tackle one of the world's roughest seas, the Southern Indian Ocean. So from this Africa to this Cape Town, from Cape Town, they are supposed to just enter into Southern Indian Ocean. And they say that the Southern Indian Ocean is considered as the world's roughest sea. ഏറ്റവും റഫായിട്ടുള്ള സീ ആണ്. And in order to tackle the roughest sea in the southern Indian Ocean, they required the help of other experts, and that is why they hired two sailors. One was an American, another one was a Herb sailor, Switzerland person. So total, now we know that the family members 4 and 2 sailors. 6 of them started the second phase of the journey. So in the second phase of the journey, they're facing some problems. The problem that they're going to face in the second phase of the journey, it was all with a sudden, the trouble started. And from here, the reader is no doubt well thrilled and electrified. അതൊരു സിഗ്നലാണ് ഇവിടെ കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇനി സെക്കൻഡ് ഫേസിൽ നമുക്ക് we will be thrilled because there is a lot of exciting adventure, lot of dangers they are going to face. The sea is becoming turbulent, it is becoming very violent, and then how they are just managing all this weather. The trouble mentioned earlier, നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്ന trouble ആണ് ഇവിടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. The trouble which is mentioned earlier occurred during their journey through Indian Ocean. After coming to Indian Ocean only, they faced this trouble. There they were forced to face a strong wind, which in turn resulted powerful gales, and they hoisted the storm ship. ഇവിടെ എന്താണ് നമ്മൾ കാണാൻ പോകുന്നത് എന്നാണ് മെൻഷൻ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. So after reaching this Indian Ocean, southern Indian Ocean, they were facing strong wind, and because of that they had to just bring down the mainsail, and they were just hoisting only storm sail ആണ്. അതായത് വലിപ്പം കുറഞ്ഞ സെയിലാണ്. സെയിലിന്റെ ഷേപ്പാണ് ഇവിടെ കാണിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. വലിപ്പമുള്ള സെയിൽ താത്തിയിട്ട് ചെറിയ സെയിൽ അവർക്ക് കയറ്റേണ്ട വന്നു. And then what they had to do, as one go through this story, he feels as if he is himself the narrator. നമ്മളിത് വായിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് നമുക്കുണ്ടാവുന്ന ഫീലാണ്. One can see every step of a journey with all its originality. When you go through this particular lesson, we will understand that this story is very interesting. There is a lot of excitement. There is a lot of originality. All the inhabitants of the ship at the first sign of the trouble is going through a life raft drill, which comprise double lashing, everything. This we are going to see. So all the inhabitants, who are the inhabitants? The narrator is there, his wife is there, his daughter is there, and again the son and 2 sailors. All the 6 of them, they went through the life raft drills. What do you mean by life raft drills? It is a life-saving drill ആണ്. ഒരു അപകടം വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് അതിനുള്ള പ്രാക്ടീസ് ആണ്, അതിനെ ഫേസ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള റിഹേഴ്സൽ ആണ്. They dropped the storm ship and lashed everything, mooring rope in a loop across the stern, attached lifelines, done oilskins and life jackets. And wait, a life jacket ആണ് നമ്മളിവിടെ കാണുന്നത്. മൂറിംഗ് റോപ്പ് ആണ് നമ്മളിവിടെ ഈ പിക്ചറിൽ കാണുന്നത്. ഇപ്പം ഞാനിത് കാണിക്കുന്നതേ ഉള്ളൂ because we are coming to that explanations later on. So when you say, when a life raft, mooring rope, this is nylon mooring rope. This is a life jacket. വെള്ളത്തിൽ പോയാൽ വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ മേൽ പൊങ്ങിക്കിടക്കാനുള്ള ജാക്കറ്റ് ആണ്. So I will explain those portions. On our second day out of Cape Town, we began to encounter strong gales. So second phase of the journey, they started from Cape Town, remember, and they started encountering strong gale. Gale means storm ആണ്. വലിയ വിൻഡിനെ ഫേസ് ചെയ്യാൻ തുടങ്ങി. For next few days, they blew continuously. So from that time onwards, second day out of Cape Town onwards, this storm which began, it continuously blew for weeks. Gales did not worry me, but the size of the waves was alarming, up to 15 meters, as high as about mainmast. So he says that the narrator was not afraid of the storm. It was okay, but he was afraid of the size of the wave. The wave was as high as 15 meter. We can say that 15 meter means it's more than a 3-story building. It is more than the height of the main mast. Oru ship in the main mast in the height in the mele vellam pongua thermale vellam pongua ennu paranjal it is very dangerous. So he says that he was not afraid of the wind, but he was afraid of the size of the wave. We know that when the wave just goes into the air, when it comes very high, it is having a crest. Crest എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും മുകളിലത്തെ അറ്റമാണ്. ആ അറ്റം എന്താണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി ബ്രേക്കിംഗ്. അത് ഹെവി ആയിരിക്കും. അത് ബ്രേക്ക് ചെയ്ത് താഴോട്ട് വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഷിപ്പിന്റെ മേലോട്ട് വീഴും, ഷിപ്പ് സിങ്ക് ചെയ്യും. സോ ഹി വാസ് അഫ്രൈഡ് ഓഫ് ദ വേവ്സ്, നോട്ട് ഓഫ് ദ wind. December 25 found us 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. So the second phase of the journey, they started at Cape Town, and wind started and wind continued for weeks. It is mentioned they are reaching December 25. December 25 is a special day because it's a Christmas day, and on the Christmas day they were in the sea. They say that they had already covered a distance of 3,500 kilometers from Cape Town to the eastern direction. Despite atrocious weather, atrocious means bad weather, dangerous, fearful weather, we had a wonderful holiday complete with a Christmas tree. Even though they were facing very dangerous weather, they enjoyed that 25th December, the Christmas day, with a Christmas tree. They celebrate the day in the ship, even decorating the Christmas tree. Christmas tree, we know that is one part and parcel of the Christmas celebration. And Christmas is also, after the Christmas, we have got one more day just in front of us, which people used to celebrate. That is New Year's Day, 5 days later. New Year's Day saw no improvement in the weather, but we reasoned that it had to change soon. So after the Christmas day went on, and then they came to the New Year Day, they thought that the weather will change. But on the New Year Day, that is January 1st also, the weather was not better. It was in the same condition. But they just imagined that the weather will change soon. And it did change for the worse. They expected that the weather will change for better. But what happened after the New Year? The weather was becoming bad only. At dawn on January 2, these days you should remember. ഈ ഡേറ്റുകൾ ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്ന ഡേറ്റുകൾ, ഓരോ ഡേറ്റിൽ എന്താണ് സംഭവിച്ചത്, മൾട്ടിപ്പിൾ ചോയ്സ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് പിൻ പോയിന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ചോദിക്കും. Therefore, you should remember what happened on 25th December. What did they think on 25th December? And on January 2nd, dawn means morning ആണ്. Dawn എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പ്രഭാതം. The waves were gigantic. On 2nd of January, they said that the waves which rose into the sky, earlier it was mentioned that it is 15-meter height. It was as high as the main mast of the ship, but now it turned into gigantic, very mighty, very big. We were sailing with only a small stone ship and were still making 8 knots. So when the wind comes, normally they used to drop down the main mast. Main mast is a വലിയ പായ. അത് താഴോട്ട് അവർ തെറുത്ത് വെച്ചിട്ട് സ്റ്റോമുള്ള സമയത്ത് റേസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ചെറിയ സെയിൽ ഉണ്ടാവും. ഞാൻ പിക്ചറിൽ കാണിച്ചിരുന്നു. അതാണ് റേസ് ചെയ്യുക. അതർവൈസ് വാട്ട് ഹാപ്പൻ, ബിക്കോസ് ഓഫ് ദ പ്രഷർ ഓഫ് ദ or the force of the wind, the ship will go in high speed and it will lead into danger. So he says that even though the main mast was dropped down, the storm ship was raised, which is smaller in size, so the pressure will be less. Even with the storm ship, they were covering a distance of 8 knots. We know the knots is the distance covered by the ship on the sea. But 8 knot is not a bad distance, or it is the speed is not less. We say that when we are traveling by a car, we cover a distance of let's say 60 kilometer, 80 kilometer means it is per hour ആണ്. ഒരു മണിക്കൂർ എത്ര ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് കവർ ചെയ്യും എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ 8 knots per hour. As the ship rose to the top of each wave, we could see endless, enormous seas rolling towards us, and the screaming of the wind and spray was painful to the ears. You must remember, when you are in the sea, you are in the boat. When you're traveling in a boat, in front of you there is a wave is there. The boat will go and climb on top of a wave, and as you are on top of the wave, what happens? Again, when you move, you will come down. And before you come down, what you see here is that the enormous big waves are just coming towards you, just rolling towards you. It is making big sound and it's coming towards you. And the screaming of the wind and spray was painful to the ears. The screaming of the wind എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ wind blow ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴുള്ള ഒച്ചയാണ്. പിന്നെ spray, what is the spray? വെള്ളം സ്പ്രേ ചെയ്യുന്ന, അതായത് on top of the wave the water is breaking into pieces and it will come and touch your ear. Your ear is very sensitive. If you touch your ear, you know that it is very soft and sensitive. When it is cold, when something comes and falls on your ear, it becomes painful to you. So he says that rising and climbing on top of one wave, that danger is not over. Again, in front of you, you can see several waves are just coming towards you. So what they have to do? To slow the boat down, we dropped the storm jeep and lashed a heavy mooring rope in the loop across the stern. In the previous picture, I showed you that mooring rope. In order to slow down the boat, what they have done? They dropped down the storm jeep. Storm jeep wherever to drop down chedu. And they last എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കെട്ടുക. ലാസ്റ്റ് ഹെവി മൂറിംഗ് റോപ്പ്, നൈലോൺ റോപ്പ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിരുന്നു. അവരിങ്ങനെ വലിച്ച് കെട്ടി ഇൻ ദ ലൂപ്പ്. ലൂപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആ ചുറ്റിയിട്ടിരിക്കുന്ന സ്ഥലമാണ്. ആൻഡ് കൊളുത്തുകളിൽ കെട്ടി അക്രോസ് ദ സ്റ്റേൺ. സ്റ്റേൺ എന്താണ് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്ന ഫ്രണ്ട് പോർഷൻ ഓഫ് ദ ബോട്ടാണ്. Then we double dashed everything. After that they double lashed. Double lash എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ 2 പ്രാവശ്യം കെട്ടുക. ഒരു പ്രാവശ്യമല്ല, 2 പ്രാവശ്യം കെട്ടുക. ഒരേ സൈഡിൽ കൂടെ തന്നെ ഒന്നിൽ കൂടുതൽ പ്രാവശ്യം ഈ റോപ്പ് വലിച്ചു കെട്ടുക. Went through our life the raft drill. അതിനുശേഷം എന്ത് ചെയ്തു? ഇങ്ങനെ പ്രിക്കോഷൻസ് എടുത്തതിന് ശേഷം അവർ ജീവിതം രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്താൻ വേണ്ടി, ലൈഫിനെ രക്ഷപ്പെടുത്താൻ വേണ്ടിയുള്ള എക്സസൈസുകൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ റിഹേഴ്സലുകൾ നടത്തി. ലൈഫ് റാഫ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ലൈഫ് സേവിങ് ഡ്രില്ലാണ്. പ്രാക്ടീസുകൾ ചെയ്തു. എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് ചെയ്ത്? ദേ അറ്റാച്ച്ഡ് ലൈഫ് ലൈൻസ്. വാട്ട് യു മീൻ ബൈ ലൈഫ് ലൈൻ? അവരുടെ ബോഡി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബെൽറ്റുമായിട്ട് ചരടിനെ ബന്ധിപ്പിച്ച് ആ ചരട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ റോപ്പ് ഷിപ്പിൽ കെട്ടുക. അപ്പൊ അതിൽ നിന്ന് പുറത്തേക്ക് പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാലും they will be able to come back to the ship. Sometime they will be thrown out of the ship because of the impact of the wave. They will be able to come back to the boat once again. The people who are going into the space, when they go for spacewalk, they also attach lifelines. നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് സ്പേസ് ഷിപ്പുമായിട്ട് ലൈഫ് ലൈൻ ബന്ധപ്പെടുത്തി അവർ പുറത്തേക്ക് നീന്താനായിട്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്പേസിൽ കൂടെ യാത്രയ്ക്ക് പോകും. തിരിച്ചു വരാനായിട്ട് ഈ ചരട് അവരെ സഹായിക്കും. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനെയാണ് ലൈഫ് ലൈൻ എന്ന് പറയുക. സോ ഇൻ ദ ബോട്ട് ഓൾസോ ദേ ഡിഡ് ദ സെയിം തിങ്. ദേ വെർ അറ്റാച്ച്ഡ് ടു ദ ബോട്ട് and then dunned oil skins. Oil skins നിറച്ചത്. അപ്പൊ അത് വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ മേലെ പൊങ്ങിക്കിടക്കും. ആൻഡ് ലൈഫ് ജാക്കറ്റ്സ് ഞാൻ കാണിച്ചിരുന്നു, അത് ധരിച്ചു. And waited. And after that they were all waiting. What are they waiting for? They are just waiting for what to take place, because anytime any eventuality may come.